Welcome everybody to episode 77 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. We are brought to you by EJ Cards, who have just moved. You can find them at Shop 3, number 2, Whitehorse Road in Blackburn. New shop there. I've checked it out. It's fantastic. Russell, you need to get down and
I do need to get down. That's outrageous, isn't it?
And check it out. It's great. It's great. Now, since we're episode 77, I'm going to kick it off straight away. Luka Doncic, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Ha, 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 they got Kyrie Irving and didn't make the playoffs. Question mark, question mark, question mark. I didn't actually put that in the run sheet, but that's how I was going to grammatically pop that in. What's going to happen to all those lovely people that own Luka Doncic cards?
So what are you hypothesizing here is that they haven't made the playoffs, so the bottom's going to fall out of Luka?
No. So Luka is going to fall off the edge of the flat earth that Kyrie has laid for him. I didn't envisage the Mavericks not making the playoffs. And once they acquired Kyrie at the trade deadline, I thought they were going to look better, not the steaming pile of whatever they call it that it was. And Luka's started to voice frustration. Like we're not a sports podcast as far as that we're not going to go in depth into the psyche of Luka Doncic's frustrations and what's going to happen in the offseason. My question is just, are a lot of people that collect Luka going to be very sad with his hobby value? Because I think in the offseason, the first step is you're going to see a decline.
Yeah, so the time between now and next season starting is a good
4 months.
Yeah, I'd say nearly 4.5, 5. Because
yeah, true.
The other thing is,
still got a draft.
It's possible they're going to shut him down because there was even some sort of rumblings today on Twitter about the NBA investigating the way that the Mavericks are handling. And
it was their second to last game. They had to win to still have a mathematical chance of getting into the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And then they rested Luka.
Yeah.
And Kyrie.
So if they rest him today, it's also possible they'll rest him, for the last game. So I suppose, that is a long time. So you would expect him to trickle down a little bit. Look, There's nothing, and if we sort of wind back the clock 12 months ago, I bought some Luka last offseason because he did trickle down, but there was nothing out there that he wasn't injured. He was, not having any problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is the normal cycle, as the season sort of goes along. So if you are thinking about buying some Luka, definitely start setting up your alerts, start setting up your watch list, all that type of stuff for Luka, because if he does drop down now, there's no good reason for him to drop down. And look, I'm no Kyrie supporter, but I would also like to think that I'm reasonable enough to sort of tell both sides of the story. If you acquire someone like Kyrie, you also need the parts around him to support him. So what I mean by that is, if you put Luka and Kyrie in the same backcourt, they're not going to be great defensively. You need really good people around them to support them defensively. Otherwise, you're going to get carved up. And that's exactly what happened to that team. They couldn't stop the Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah. So
they're not a juggernaut offensively.
Is this part of Cuban's plan? I'm just starting to worry for those.
I don't think so.
Luka collectors out there that Luka's never going to win a chip because Dallas are never going to be good enough to compete because they don't know how to put a team around Luka.
I don't think that's reasonable to say that. I think what they did, like when Cuban bought that team was a running joke. And then for them to slowly build it up over the years around Dirk, I think that was something that was incredible. Look, if I am being critical of Cuban, the probably thing that I didn't agree with, he blew up that team after they won a championship. I think that's huge testicular fortitude to do that. And I don't agree with that. But other than that, I think he's made a lot of risks over the years that, probably haven't played out. Remember they cleared out cap space to get Dwight Howard and Deron Williams. That didn't sort of work out for them in the last couple of years too. They've had sort of similar scenarios. And so if Kyrie re-signs with them, I think that's a very optimistic thing. And I think those two could definitely coexist together.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at that team, they need perimeter defense and they need to sort out their big man rotation. I think Christian Woods is he has to go. But
Yeah.
what about Jason Kidd? Like, who's to say he's actually an NBA
Oh,
coach that's a,
he's got what it takes to actually coach that
that's a
unit. Yeah.
C-rated coach? There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's actually no evidence out there to say that he's an A grade coach or a B grade coach. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they've got a lot to process this off season. So to
Yeah.
answer your question explicitly and specifically, no, there's nothing for me to worry about with Lucas prices. Are they going to trickle down a little bit? Yes, they are. That's okay.
Okay. Because
Do you know what I'm
I
saying? Yeah.
yeah, it started off with Luka said he was unhappy. The latest rumor is that Luka's going to demand a trade next. Now, do you know what I mean? Like, is it a buy? Is Luka a buyer beware thing? Because we were talking about what Nikola Jokic is on track to do. Now, it's a very close race. We don't know if he's going to be on that 3 MVP list, but he's got a better chance of being a 3-time MVP and an NBA champion
Okay.
than
So
Luka has of doing a lot of these things.
so you name me three safer buys in the NBA. You name me three players all time who is a better buy than Luca.
Steph
And
Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo,
yeah,
Jordan, or active player. You want an active player?
all time. Like I don't mind.
But like
And
Kobe, LeBron, Jordan.
yeah,
But I'll say investment wise, I'd say Steph.
and I'd probably say. So my probably reply to that is, well, that excludes out of the market probably 90% of the people, right? So I didn't ask the question, very well.
But the thing is, we're not comparing. We're trying to compare apples to apples, right? Luka Doncic, for his accolades of 0 MVPs and 0 championships, is fetching prices comparable to someone that's actually done something with their career. And that's as harsh as I'll give it to Luka.
No, that's fine.
I like to watch the guy play, but Giannis has won MVPs and a title.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is like the greatest 3-point shooter of all time, and he's won titles and MVPs. Like, that man revolutionized the game. Like,
I do agree with that, but I'd also say too, comparatively, Luca's prices, are a lot less than Giannis. I mean, Giannis has gone up
Giannis
a
is,
lot the last 12 months,
yeah,
right? And
yep,
Steph is significantly, higher again for his rookie stuff.
yeah.
So
I just feel like Luka's headed down the Zion path.
I understand why people speculate on Luca, and I actually feel even now, I feel Luca is still, safe to speculate on, and that's even after that huge, dip that we've had, right? So
But I feel like there's got to be. So this is just my opinion. I just feel like there are alarm bells starting to go off.
yeah, sure.
And the people that did buy Luka as a sort of a commodity, as a solid investment, I think a lot of people that are going to be struggling with
I think it
what their
depends.
investments got. Yeah,
I think it depends when you bought it and how much of it that you bought, right?
yeah,
If you've been buying pretty solidly since his rookie year, probably I'd say overall you're doing all right. If you bought heavily during the peak, well then
you're cooked.
you're gonna be in trouble,
Yeah,
right? But also too, let's then compare others. If you bought Zion the last couple of years, I think you'd be probably more trouble.
yeah, true.
If you bought Ja Morant, I'd feel more confident buying Luca than Ja at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
it's interesting you say that, because yes, Memphis have got the 2 seed at the moment, so they're in the playoffs.
Ja Morant was seen putting like 100K down in like a strip joint, and that stuff matters.
It's his hero James Harden that inspires him to do
Like,
stuff like that.
you
But
know, like the Steph Currys, the LeBron Jameses, those guys are building schools,
yeah,
and maybe in their private life, who knows what they get up to, but it's also not on the front page, right? And look, all that stuff with Ja, I don't want to go back into that, but that's not ideal.
no. But on-court performance has a lot to do with, you know what I mean? Like, if the Grizzlies come in and nowhere and win a chip, and it's through Ja just tearing the place
Crazy.
up.
Dwayne Wade, crazy when they won it with the Heat and Shaq. Yeah.
Yep. And all of a sudden, Ja's like, I'm going through the rest of the league. And just focuses and goes, like, that's gotta impact these prices. Yes, his off court stuff needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get an MVP, a finals MVP, like that kind of recognition, you get to a different level. And I think Luka's got those accolades without being on that
All right, I
level.
want to ask you two questions, and then we'll move on. So my first question is, who are you buying at the moment, Luka or Jar?
Jar, because he's on the dip.
Yeah. And are you buying, holding, or selling Luka at the moment?
Well, that's a tricky one. It depends what I've got to whether, like, if I've got it, whether or not I'm holding it or selling it.
But you're saying to me, like, oh, you're a bit worried, he's
I'm
overpriced, blah, blah, blah. But there's also that part at the back of your mind, too. Is like, oh, probably long term, this guy's going to be pretty all right. And I suppose
if
that's why I'm asking that sort of like very pragmatic question, because, that's what it comes down to, right?
I want to. I feel like the potential window where his potential needs to live up to a certain amount of potential as his career goes.
Yeah.
That window is closing. The Dallas Mavericks keep failing to put a team around, and he keeps this not being. The Mavericks aren't good enough.
You're a hard man to please, Adam Amy.
But it's just I worry. I don't see.
He's 24 years old, man. Luka's 24. That's
But the
10.
damn it,
That's 10 more years of prime basketball he's got.
you reckon?
Yeah.
On which team?
Well, I hope. The romantic of me hopes that he's still in Dallas, right? And also think about his game too. He actually might have a longer prime than 10 years because he's got that old man game already. Like he's not built like
True.
Ja Morant
Yeah.
that has to, fly through the air and, slice people up.
That's
and the
true.
other thing too is about like sports science. What we're seeing with LeBron, like that's ridiculous what he's doing. I can barely walk anymore.
Yeah.
This guy's still playing NBA basketball. We're the same age. It's like just
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know. As I said, I feel like at what point do we stop cutting slack for Luka? Because every time something goes wrong, everyone's like, he'll be right, he'll be right, he'll be right.
Look, I think it's good that we've got a different viewpoint on this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, what's the fun?
I'd like to see Luka succeed, but I'm struggling to see how that eventuates. I'm worried.
I just don't have the same pessimism around like the Mavs and Luka as you do. And look, let's see where this ends up, man.
Yeah,
let's have an Andrew gaze into the future.
That's it. Luke Longley.
All right, let's dial this back a notch. Let's talk about Steven Adams and the Memphis Grizzlies. So this came out today.
Well, there goes my Jar argument for him winning a title, right?
Memphis Grizzlies center Steven Adams is likely to miss the postseason with his injured right knee. Adams, who underwent a stem cell injection a month ago, has been out with a PCL strain since January. So, look, I think if we're being pragmatic here, he's an important piece to that team, but he's not probably in the top 8 in terms of their rotational pieces. So I suppose I'll lead with this, and then I'll open the floor to you. The Grizzlies are signing two-way rookie forward Kenneth Lofton Jr. on a 4-year, $7 million contract. He's currently in the G League. And Lofton, you'll know this guy. He's a huge guy. He's like
solid.
As tall as he is, he's that wide. He's not a really big guy. I actually think there's a little bit of hobby juice in Lofton.
You reckon?
I reckon, because he's one of those guys like, remember Glenn Big Baby Davis that you just saw him and you're just like, look at that guy, like, oh my God. And you kind of, your mouth went a bit open. You're like, look at him. I think Lofton's a bit the same way. So I think that's almost enough for sort of the Fruja factor, I think. Very low level Fruja factor.
So it's gonna be interesting.
I would say if you see these cards for, $1 or $2, if you see an autograph for a couple of bucks, it's a Lofton, just grab it, honestly, because he's going to be in the league for the next few years. The other thing about Adams is too, and their big man rotation in Memphis, I don't think there's anyone there. Like, think about their bigs. Who are they really married to? I think Brandon Clark they would give up.
Yeah, probably. Like, they've got a very fluid young team, though.
Zaire Williams, we've spoken about him this year on the pod. Look, if he gets moved on for a different prospect, I wouldn't be shocked about that. But that was my follow-up question to you. So who do you think is going to benefit from Adams being out hobby-wise for the Memphis Grizzlies?
For the Grizzlies? I mean, Lofton's going to benefit on the court. I don't know if it's going to be a hobby impact.
I think for me, the one I'm watching still is Zaire Williams. I think, because I think if he has a couple of big games in the playoffs, that could really move his momentum forward, into next year. Yeah. Because I think he does have that talent that they could sort of change their rotation around him. And I actually think Brandon Clark is a pretty talented guy and a good NBA player. So for me, he's a really funny one. Like he could be easily overtaken by Zaire Williams, and they're very happy to move Steven Adams in. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of.
Does it put a lot of strain, do you think, on Triple J?
I don't mind that, to be honest.
Because
I
he
think you.
might. Remember how Pau Gasol sort of played the 4 and then ended up playing the 5 when Bynum went down for the Lakers in that
Yeah.
sort of 2009, 2010.
I think you have to put your best foot forward. He's their best big man.
Yeah, so step
There's
him
no
up,
debate.
go smaller.
There's no debate in my
Mm.
mind. Also, that's the way the league is going. Big,
I was going to
skilled
say
guys
finals, small
that
man
can
lineups is
shoot,
yeah.
pass. Yeah.
I think it could be interesting. I think you could see Memphis reinvent themselves on the fly. That could be exciting. So yeah, maybe Triple J. That hobby wise, especially if he balls out as a center.
Geez, that's a good call, Adam. I wish that was my take now.
It's
That was
so yeah.
good, Ad. Yeah. And look, Triple J has had a little bit of upward movement, but I think there's two things. I suspect that people are a little bit maybe bitten on him just because of how high he was and how much he's come down for.
Yep.
And the other thing too is just big guys generally don't do, really good, in hobby circles. So that's probably the only
That's true.
two sort of, footnotes to that. Alrighty, I was breaking Don Russ the other night and I had an excellent question. I'll read this word for word. What's your thoughts on Ty Washingtons? That's from Samuel Scarce. Thank you, Samuel. Adam, I'll let you go first. If you've got nothing, I will lead through.
Oh, can I answer that with who's Ty Washington?
Yeah, he was drafted in the 2022 draft.
Yep.
He was drafted by Memphis, eventually traded to Houston. He's currently with their G League team at the moment.
So you're playing Houston G League. This is why I don't know him. Good. Just checking. I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't mind this because it's good to chat about, different kids. The other thing too is I am still curious about prospecting on the G League.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is sort of something to, again, bookmark if you're interested in. If you go onto Twitter, there's some really nice footage of him doing a nice little step back 3. He's 6'3". He's a point guard, Kentucky kid, all those things, I do like. My only thing about him is he's not overly big and he's not overly fast. And his shot seems to be released quite low. So
he's 21 though.
So it's relatively old for a prospect.
Yeah, the question.
I'm not super high on this kid. I think he's going to be maybe like Paddy Mills, I would say, at best. So
I was going to say that's a pretty
in terms
nice,
of hobby-wise,
nice review.
In terms of hobby-wise, I don't think you're ever going to make $1 million on this guy. So I would say buy him if you really love his game and you want to collect him. I did find some cards on him. His Don Russ Choice Red Mojo, numbered to 99, sold for $475. This is a draft picks card, so that's the college uniform, which is the Prism card that's in college.
Yep.
The Instant Impact Gold to 10, that sold for $20 USD. And this last one, which I probably liked the most, 22-23 Origins, Ty Washington, the Elevation Signatures. Check this card out. They're the East-West running card, but it's all on-card autographs. They are absolutely spectacular. We spoke about Origins the last couple of weeks, saying that the price is good and the cards that come out of them, are pretty delicious. They've just added another card to that checklist that are really nice. So there's two things to take away from this tiny little segment. Check out Ty Washington, see what you think about him. But the other thing is Origins Elevations cards. You need to get at least one of these in your PC, and even if it's a low-end one, that's totally fine. They are absolutely beautiful cards.
Yeah.
Right, let's go blast from the past ad, Zion Watch.
Zion Watch.
So the general manager of the New Orleans Pelicans announced today, after further evaluation, it has been determined that Zion Williamson will continue his rehab and conditioning regime. That's pronounced, isn't it? We will continue to monitor his progression and updates will be provided as warranted. So basically, it's almost like...
Stop asking us.
It's almost like Tyson Beck's no comment, on that earlier post.
Uh,
That's not what you were hoping to hear a week
if
before the playoffs.
yeah, yeah. Um, if
So
if the Pelicans get through their play-in tournament,
yeah, so that's right. They have to go through the play-in. Yeah.
do you bring him out? You take him out of the cotton wool if they make the actual playoffs.
So he was a 2019 rookie. When do you take him out of the cotton wool?
Well, maybe he's not ready.
Because the thing for me this year about the league is there's a lot of parity from, let's just say you tiered the entire league like East and West.
Mm.
I actually think 1 to 10, the 10th team could come through and, win the chip. I think there's a lot of parity this year.
Yeah, yeah.
And crazy things happen in sport, in
I'm
addition
excited.
to that. Yeah.
I'm excited. If we get the 7 seed,
when you say we, you mean the Lakers, right?
Yeah, the team I go for, that everyone knows I go for. We can beat Memphis, who are the walking wounded at the moment. Obviously, you've just said the problems with Triple J. Will have to play against Anthony Davis. The Grizzlies have struggled this year against the Lakers.
Yeah.
We could make the second round. We could also be out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the 6th seed, so it'd be Lakers Kings first round. Quietly.
Oof.
But I think it'd be better to get the Grizz out of the way first.
I don't reckon you guys could get back and transition half of the possessions. Do you have any idea how fast those kids run?
Yeah, I was going to say they've got some. Yeah, they've got some legs. They got
LeBron's knees will have smoke coming out of them.
Oh god, he'll just stay at one end of the court. He'll just shoot from the logo and play defense.
Just waving for the outlet pass. Get out to me. Yeah.
Oh god. Nah. I worry with Zion, but so he's only 22. Right? We just had this discussion about Luka.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Right? It's
too soon, isn't it, to give up?
He's 22 years old, and when he has been on the court, he is a force of nature. But the guy can't stay healthy. Like, I've got the same criticism of Anthony Davis. At least day-to-day is better than bloody not getting out in the court at all. I don't know. I understand that there's a lot of pressure to perform and they need to be 100% fit and healthy. But when he just keeps getting injured, is he not built for basketball?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think when you get press releases like that too, that aren't exactly, revealing.
That's not it. No, that's more revealing. Like the way that comes across to me is and updates will be provided as warranted. That is as warranted is a stop asking us.
Yeah.
We know you all want to know. We'd want to know too.
Yeah.
When we know, you'll know.
Yeah.
If we think it's worth talking about, we'll let you know. But let him do his rehab. And it just keeps happening.
Yeah. So 2019 Zion Williamson Silver PSA 10. This is the last 3 months of data. The starting price was $1,045. The lowest sold price was $510. The current price is $642. So he's down 38%.
Wow.
So I think, you were talking about before with Luka, when do you start to get worried? I think this is, people are worried. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is it now. So,
yeah. So
the question is where is the dust going to settle on these silvers? Because if you look at the base prices, I mean, I don't even want to talk about them, but it's low, right?
Is the pop count over 100,000 yet on the base? No.
So
it's slowed right down.
It's over 20,000.
It is 22,000.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're in. But yeah, are you worried though at $600? Because I reckon whenever he takes the court, he's going to dominate. I think if you were paying $2,000-$3,000 for a card, you might be worried that it's never going to come back up. But I think if you got it on the dip this time round, that $500 to $600, even $700 or $800, I think you're right. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
If he plays a good half a season at the start of the year, get his All-Star bonus and see a bit of a spike, and then he'll wrap himself up in cotton wool for the rest of the year.
So Cade PSA 10 last sold for $359. So you could, okay, I'm fudging numbers here now, but you could almost get 2 Cades for 1 Zion.
Whew.
So
now you're talking my language. I would buy 2 Cades.
Yeah. And probably that's where I'm headed now too, because like for me, Zion, that's I don't have the stomach for that. I enjoy to speculate, but that to me that's too high. The other thing too is I don't think the dust has settled yet.
That's
Like
true.
if Cade is down at 359, you give me a good reason why Zion can't go down to 359.
Yeah.
Seriously, if
Yep.
the guy hasn't played for 2 years, right? At one
And
point, the
just, yep.
people say, okay, can I be honest? I'm totally fine with that. I'm not even going to judge people. I'm going to say no problems.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
At,
crazy.
at M. Brown, Myles Brown. The best thing to be in the NBA these days is a great player on a bad team. You win awards based on your numbers with no expectations and get paid more than anyone to stick around. So congrats to you all losers. You're actually the best. You just need some help and our imagination. How good is that?
Oh god, it's so true.
So who is he referencing here?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Don't be like that.
I
Just
don't.
have
I
a couple
don't.
of guesses. Just speculate, Adam.
Kyle Kuzma. I don't know. Oh look, there's a There was. Oh no, that was a different post. I saw a Dallas Mavericks thing.
So it
Don't
could
know.
be.
Could be LeBron.
I'm going to try and put words in your mouth here, but it could be Luka.
Yeah. I look. It could be Luka,
It
but
could
he's copping a lot
be
of flack about it.
Kyrie.
Yeah.
So
Wait.
now
Let's look at. I'm going to look at the NBA standings because
this is my answer now. I'm not answering for. I'm not trying to answer for you anymore.
Okay.
I think this is about Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I agree.
And my feeling was 2 years ago when he was lying on that trainer's table. Okay, it wasn't probably 2 years ago. I think it was last offseason, lying on that trainer's table and he was like DM the Lakers guys. I was like, okay, finally he's going to request a trade and he's out of here. But then he hung around.
Money.
Yeah, he got paid, didn't he? So I reckon that's really what he's talking about.
Well, I'm looking at all the other rosters and there's no other team that's not in the playoffs that I could see that relating to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so maybe in that case, that was actually directed at Luka then.
Maybe it could be Portland's 2 spots down from Dallas, right?
I would love to see Lillard.
I think you're right. It's Lillard.
On a legit contender like the Lakers or, something like that. And then my second wish for Lillard is that he does how the veterans at the end of their career go and sign for a minimum with like a really, really good team. I would love to see Lillard, old man Lillard just coming off the bench and just like putting daggers through teams' hearts. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I suggested it on one of my friends' podcasts when we were talking about what Dallas needed to do in order to help Luka. I think I actually suggested Dame Lillard instead of Kyrie.
Kyrie's like a Lillard light, isn't he, really?
Kyrie's... Nah, he's like a home wrecker. Anyway.
Last topic for the night, WNBA cards. Do you have any in your PC?
No.
Why not?
Well, I've never bought any.
No, but like legit, why?
I don't follow the WNBA. I guess is probably the main reason. Like I know a couple of players, but I don't actively follow it. That'd be why I don't have any cards. I think I have more AFL cards than... Well, I do have AFL cards. Don't have any women's AFL cards. Although I think I got one in a pack the other day. Anyway,
so
why do you ask? Is my burning question now?
Well, full disclosure, I do run the occasional WNBA break.
Oh, I've seen those. I haven't bought into any of those either.
No, and I'm not trying to like pressure you or even imply, but like that's like that is part of it. So there's a few parts to it.
Yeah,
it's becoming more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is like there's more highlights, coming into my socials feeds, and I don't think that's an accident either. I don't think that's organic. I think that they're pushing it.
Yeah,
it's on NBA TV now.
Yep,
they do have their own subscription feed.
Oh, really?
But I've never subscribed to it. Yeah,
that's weird. Yeah,
the other thing too is that the NCAA women's tournament was on, so there's a huge prospect coming out of that. It's supposed to be like the next...
I've seen her,
Luka or LeBron. So, again, that's been in my sort of feed. And the next thing that happened too is that I like to buy extra autos on eBay or on Facebook, whatever, and then, prop up the breaks a little bit. So, say instead of getting 2 autographs, then you're getting 3. Yeah. And then I bought this Becky Hammond card as a skunk prize. And then I actually and this is a very me thing to do. And then I was like, I can't part with it.
I can't part with this Becky Hammond card. I do actually like Becky Hammond as a card, though.
Yeah, and then she's been inducted into Hall of Fame in this current class. So all of those things is what made me, start to think about. And then
I think she'll be the first coach in the NBA.
Some of
Female coach, sorry.
She probably will be, if there is going to be someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you? I think we spoke about this this is ages ago. Did you hear her last podcast when she went on with Woj?
No.
She's actually given up on that NBA dream. She's like, I tried. I interviewed. I was the better candidate. I didn't get the job. I've moved on, and now I've set different goals.
Okay. I was going to say, I've heard conspiracies that she's off to explore other options because once Pop's ready to give it up, she'll be the next coach of the Spurs. But
cool.
That'd be nice. I reckon that would be very, it's like a very Pop thing to do as well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So all of those things is what's made me start thinking about it. And, also not that any of my cards are ever going to be $1 million cards, but, that Sabrina card that sold for that black 1 of 1.
Yeah,
we touched on that. But
that was like $10,000, wasn't it?
Look, I actually can't remember.
I don't know.
My memory is crazy bad, but it was enough that should have brought some attention onto people buying packs and hunting down some sealed product of that. Do you know what I mean? Like all that sort of stuff. Like,
yep.
So that's why. So anyway, that was all.
No, WNBA, I think as far as the hobby goes, I don't know. It's an interesting space. Like, I think it's somewhere people will dabble, but until there's, I suppose there's more people watching the league, then there's, yeah.
So I wonder, someone like me who doesn't buy their kids NBA, but I buy them Pokemon, I wonder if you could say, okay, I'm not going to buy them WNBA, I'm not going to buy them NBA, I'll buy them WNBA, because the price point is
noticeably different.
Probably as accessible as Pokemon.
Okay.
It's a little bit more, actually. Like for a hobby box of Prism, it's more than like a booster box of Pokemon, but it's ballpark.
Yeah. Okay, so when we talk about, like I've talked to death about this because I love the idea of grassroots collecting.
Yeah.
And the stages you go through as a collector or somebody that's introduced or comes through the hobby.
Yeah.
Now, children, we make sure that sets like Hoops and Donruss are accessible so that the younger collectors can gain access to the cards.
But Donruss is 500. Okay, you wouldn't buy them a hobby. Maybe you'd get them retail, but it's still like 500 a box, man.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying like a pack of if I've got a child who's playing under 10s or under 12s, right, on a Saturday morning, and as a treat they get a pack of basketball cards, right? Could be just a $3 pack of Hoop from the local newsagents or whatever. And if they win their grand final, I'll get them a blaster or something from EB Games. Right? I'm just thinking run-of-the-mill domestic basketball comp. Parent doesn't know much about basketball cards, sees them in EB Games or the local game shop or the newsagents. Is that the point where you're trying to get the junior girls to look at the WNBA cards? Is that the price? Is that the target market?
Well, I do have a daughter, so yes, that is something that I would definitely. And I have opened WNBA cards with her, actually.
Because it's grassroots collecting, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is not a 5-year project that Panini are obviously not going to worry about because Fanatics are coming on. But as far as the hobby goes, I was indoctrinated at a young age. So I was like, 12 years old when I started getting cards from the local store. I'd started high school and discovered basketball cards, and that's that discovery that got me into the hobby. That's where all our stories start. So the question is, with the WNBA, in order to lay those foundations, the young collectors, that's where it needs to be. That's their hobby exposure. I collected cards as a kid, so I collect cards as an adult. Like that needs to be part of their story so that they become more mainstream. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be a more niche sport than the NBA. I don't think that I think that was just going through my head then was, well, when I was a kid, was I watching NBA? So do you need to watch the sport to be able to collect it, I suppose is what I'm getting to. Because
Maybe.
I didn't watch a lot of NBA when I was a little kid.
I used to love watching
Because it wasn't on telly.
what was NBA on? Oh, they used to do the top 5 or the top 10. There was an NBA highlights show that I watched, and there was.
But do you remember
the NBL?
if you collected cards or watched NBA on TV first? I suppose that's what I'm asking.
Whichever games I could get, I consumed a lot more than your average kid as far as NBA content. Okay. I used to check scores in the paper.
Yeah.
Like I'd go to the school library to get the newspaper to check the scores to see who had played, because it was on either ESPN had 1 or 2 live games a week. So, and if I wasn't at school, I'd be watching basketball. It was. I lived and breathed the sport, so I'm a little bit different in that sense. But there are a lot of kids that go play basketball.
Yeah,
and I just think WNBA being, I mean, if it's WNBL as well, but as the young girls that are playing the sport,
they could play it and collect it
collect it. Yeah, so that's where they get their that's where they connect, I guess, with the hobby.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, oh, I like LeBron James, because there are a lot of like you see it down at the stadiums. There are boys comps, girls comps, mixed comp, and all the boys want to be Steph Curry or LeBron or Giannis or whoever their favorite player is, and then you've got their younger sister who's just started playing and wants to be Stephanie Curry because she's, you know what I mean, like. She doesn't have an aspiring relevant player, so maybe it is a good opportunity for the hobby to sort of connect with the kids and make
I hope it sticks, and I hope they keep doing them, because I think there is a very small space in the hobby for it.
Yep. And kids, when they get fanatical about a sport, they live it, they breathe it, they love it. They will watch the WNBL, they'll watch the WNBA.
And there's at least one person buying ultra high-end Sabrina cards. So, alrighty, let's tie this off, Ad. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate your support.
Yes, thanks for tuning in for another scintillating episode. Hopefully, not as I think doing a couple of shorter ones is not a bad little way. We might continue this for a little while.
Let's try it for a month and
see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone could just start posting on socials telling us to knock it off, or it could just respond really well.
Could be the new thing.
Could be. I'm going to go and hunt for some more pocket change and,
all right,
and do some stuff. But yes, till next week. Enjoy. May your collecting journeys be prosperous.
May the force be with you.
And happy Easter to everybody from last week.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you guys.